Ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Kevin Sutter. I recognize a lot of you because this is my 4th session this week, so I think you've been at a few of the sessions anyway. And this is Markus Karg.
Hi.
And what we're going to do today is talk more from a community perspective. I'm going to start off just by giving some overview of the Jakarta EE community at a higher level. And then what I want to do is hand it off to Markus and let him explain, well, what is this like at the team level? Because he's the one that's really been working the nuts and bolts at the lower level. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to start at the higher level with the community. A couple of these charts you've seen before if you've been following my other presentations this week. But the big thing here with any community, we need participation, and it's across all levels. So yes, I'm involved in, like the PMC and some of the steering committees and stuff for Jakarta EE, but we also need all the assistance and help at the lower levels as well, across all the teams associated with Jakarta EE. I put this one up because this really shows the difference of community between what used to be with Java EE and how it is with Jakarta. So Java EE, I was trying to find a chart that would show all of the participants in Java EE because there's a lot of companies, a lot of individuals that help. I couldn't find anything. This page says Java EE Community, and what company do you see? It's only Oracle. So it's a very Oracle-centered process and deliverable. Compare that with Jakarta EE. This is our front page. Go to jakarta.ee, and this is what you see. Now, Oracle's still up there. They are definitely participating. They're contributing most everything in here, but they're just one vote that is equal with everybody else's. And that is very key, that it's a community of all of these different vendors, projects, and individuals that are trying to develop and promote this community. So at the very top level, Eclipse has defined this process, this entity called a working group. And we have defined a Jakarta EE working group. That's a top level group it's a consortium of vendors and projects, some individuals that are trying to define the overall business aspect of Jakarta EE. We are in the process of defining the specification process. We need to protect the Jakarta EE brand. Okay, so it's more of a business aspect is what the working group is looking at. There's a few committees that make up this working group. We have a steering committee, and that's, it just basically oversees everything. We get input from all the other committees and everybody else that's working on different sub-projects, and then, we're able to vote on it, deciding what to do to go forward. We have the marketing committee. I don't directly participate on that one, so I can't speak to it exactly, but, we get input from them on how are we going to promote this brand, how, this conference is part of this promotion. So we do newsletters, we do blogs, we try to get the word out about Jakarta EE. And then the specification committee, I'm on that committee as well, and that's one that we are trying to define the process. So we have the JSR process in the JCP, and we're moving that over to Jakarta, and we need a specification process. The draft we released last week. I would highly encourage everyone to at least take a look at it, take a read through it, and see if there's anything in there that just does not make sense, makes you uncomfortable. If you have any nice comments, you could give those as well, but we're going to take comments until the end of the month. Then we have to kind of reevaluate and find out, well, how bad were the comments? Do we have to redo a bunch of stuff, or is it just nits? And we can pretty it up and make a final draft. We also have one project that's going to be our guinea pig, and they're going to help us refine this process. So they are in the process of creating a specification project, and then they will be working with us, trying to follow the process, seeing if the process works. We will give feedback to them, and we hope it's a give and take. If we go down one level, kind of, maybe you could think of them kind of even, but I think of them going down a little bit level because we're getting a little bit closer to the code now, is with the Project Management Committee for the EE4J project. The EE4J is the top level project within Eclipse. This is where all the code lives, and code, you know, it will eventually include the specifications and then the APIs, the TCKs, any implementations. They are part of the EE4J top level project. You'll notice we have various people from all the various companies, strategic members of Jakarta EE. Everybody is represented on that. Everyone has the same vote. We do have Ivar. I don't know how many of you know Ivar. I know he works for a company, but he's kind of an independent when he's working in this role. He's our lead for the PMC. He does a fantastic job. If you guys know him, you know, give a shout out to him. This gives you a view of all of the projects, the Eclipse projects under EE4J. If you're familiar with Java EE, you will see several of them that make sense. You know, we tried to match them up with the other Java EE technologies. This is another view of where we are at with our progress. You'll notice that almost all of the projects are out to 80%. And what that means is all of the project has been provisioned, all the code has been delivered, we can build it, we can test it. And the final item to get it out to 100% is, yes, you have followed the Eclipse process and you have done a release, okay? Now, the first projects to get to a release, they were quite simple because they were already Eclipse projects. So we had Eclipse Link, JSON B, JSON P. Those got to 100% really quick because they already existed. Okay, now the one bonus and why Markus is here is because of JAX-RS. They were the first project that worked through this whole process, figured out how to do an Eclipse release, and then actually you're the first ones to do the new Jakarta Maven coordinates as well. So that's why I wanted to work with Markus to have him give his view of what they're doing at a lower level. Just want to touch on this before I give it over to Markus. We also are doing our CI/CD process. This has been a huge undertaking, and I cannot believe the progress that we have had in like the last 2 weeks. When I started to pull this chart into my set of charts, about 2 weeks ago, this column over here for the done, that only had 5 tasks done. That was about 2 weeks ago. And then right before I left, I refreshed it. It got up to about 80 projects or 80 tasks being done. And then last night, I refreshed it one last time. And the neat thing here, what is it, 133? 103 done. But the really nice thing, this one's down to 0. So even yesterday during the day, we still had 2. I got to figure out how to turn those off when I'm presenting. So we have made fantastic progress in the last couple of weeks. Our original goal was to have this all done by this past Monday, but now our goal is this coming Monday. We have made so much progress. I think we're going to come really close to having this done. And why is this important? Well, now I got to get the focus back on there. Is because we are trying to release Eclipse Glassfish 5.1. So last weekend, we did the RC1 for Eclipse Glassfish 5.1. That's our first golden build of everything in Eclipse for making Glassfish. This was a huge milestone for us. We were driving so hard to have this ready by EclipseCon and by Oracle Code 1, and we just made it. It was just over this past weekend before the conferences started, and we were very happy to make this. Now, we're not done. I'm guessing we're going to have several RC candidates going through before we're finally done with 5.1. But the goal of Eclipse 5.1, or Eclipse Glassfish 5.1, is to be Java EE8 compliant. And then we can say that we're done with that first deliverable. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover from a larger community viewpoint. And now I'm going to turn it over to Markus and talk about it at a team level.
Oh, that was a race. Okay, I'm speaking a bit slower. I'm not a native English speaker. Yeah, hi, I'm Markus. For those who didn't know me before, I'm the lead developer. Oh yeah, now I know that. Okay, I'm one of several committers of JAX-RS, and I was invited by Kevin to share my view on the progress so far, on the future, and so on. And it's a bit biased because I was in a different organization before, which is a JCP. So I'm not a native Eclipse guy. So what I tell you now is possibly an outside view. What we noticed, how things work better or not so good in the Eclipse Foundation. Where do we come from?
If you want, you can just use that too. If you want.
I'm not used to this. Okay, just a few words where we come from. In about 2008, I had to program something I later learned is called REST. And I tried not to do everything from scratch, so I looked around what's there, and some friends at Oracle told me they're working on something in this direction. So they invited me to help and to contribute. And what was the end? The end was that I developed a sub-project which is called WebDAV support for Jersey. Then we had a small argue, and then it was WebDAV support for JAX-RS, because they wanted me to use native Oracle stuff. And I said I won't do that. I will stick with all the standard APIs. And so we had to invent something, because JAX-RS 0.8 was not mature enough. So I invented some APIs on top of that, which later became part of JAX-RS 1.1. And so we were a small family working on that. Not many people or companies knew JAX-RS in the first. And it was mostly driven by Oracle with some external contributors like me. I later was invited to serve at JSR 3.11 and 3.3.9 and 3.70 for the later JAX-RS versions as an individual expert. And it was fun to work with all the companies, but it was always the case that we were only heard, but we had no really a voice. Yeah. So the Oracle asked us, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? We did something, here it is, full stop. And whether they did what we wanted or not was their decision. So we could talk, we could see things up front, but we had no vote on this. This is different from other JSRs where external experts had a vote. Here it was only Oracle, and that was already a point where we got angry. You talk and talk and talk and make arguments, and you don't get what you need. So we were really happy when we saw that Eclipse Foundation tried to do JAX-RS in a really open fashion. And I don't know, somehow I was invited to join. And yeah, this is the past. And I thought somebody will start that thing. So I waited for it to start, but nothing happened. So what to do then? So it was January, and I had this lot of ideas, and I wanted to do something, but there was nothing. So I thought I should do something. So I kicked off a discussion, a sort of introduction. Hello, is everybody here? Can somebody hear me in the forum? And yeah, there were a few answers, and so we simply started to work. We had no idea of the Eclipse processes. We had no idea of our own status. We just thought, there's code, let's do something. So we did, and this was really bad. Because shortly after, we learned there's some constitution, like the Eclipse development process, and we should follow it. Okay, so we tried to follow it. And then we learned there are different roles. So we are committers. Oh yeah, I noticed, this is a funny story. I noticed I can clear the master branch. I actually had that access right granted, but it was not a good idea to do it. I did it in the best way I could. I tried, I solved some problems, so it's really a good code base. But Oracle thought it's a bad idea because they can throw any shit into it and see that shit later. So there was the first dispute with Oracle. And in this experimental way to work in this project, we discovered all the rules of the Eclipse Foundation. We discovered our powers that we have as committers, which are really huge. And we discovered that there are others. And in Germany, the constitution says your own powers end where the powers of others are interfered. So what does that mean? Well, I can clear the master branch. Okay, I can do that. I have that power. But that's maybe not a good idea. So you shouldn't do it. Okay. On the other hand, the other persons or the other roles also learn things. For example, that a project lead is not the king. He cannot do what he wants. The committers are king. He didn't know that. He learned from me. I told him. And there are others, like the PMC members. What are PMC members? I didn't know that. So I tried out to do things, and I asked him, he said, okay. And one PMC member said yes, the other said no, the third said, what, I'm a PMC member? So the whole year 2018 was some kind of hot ride in this project, because we wanted to deliver, we wanted to deliver fast, we wanted to do all the rules the Eclipse Foundation says, we want to do it right, but everybody wants to do it another way. So this is the most hard thing we had to learn, how to build a team, how to work in the same way. This is what the Eclipse rules do not tell you. So you need a leader. If you don't have a leader, everybody waits. So Kevin says, I'm the development lead. Okay. So I'm the one who triggers the discussions. If you don't do that, the discussions will just go away. They stop somehow, because people don't tend to regularly look up all the open issues. So somebody has to do it. I'm the one who starts voting, call for reviews and all that. So if you call that a lead, okay, then I'm a lead. The other thing, what we did is write code. So I talked a lot of the things that happen in an organizational way, but there also happened a lot to the code. If you look at the master branch, there actually are, I don't know, 50 or 80, I don't know, contributions already. So we were not just the first who did a release. We also added useful things like bug fixes, clarifications for the specification, and so on and so on. And we actually won't say that we have a release. We just followed the rules, and the Eclipse Foundation said this is a release. Technical, this is a release. But for us, it is just a correction. The actual work happened in a different branch, and that different branch contains new APIs. So there is really things coming in JAX-RS, which will be in Jakarta EE9 mostly, I think, which are very beneficial for the future, like for the cloud, like for JPMS, for features from Java 9, and so on and so on. So at the point right now, what we try to do also with this presentation is get more people into the boat on the code side. We have a lot of committers, which is an organizational role. Actually, we have too many committers. We need to get rid of some. If I say, please everybody vote, I only count 3 or 4 votes, but we have 30 committers. So actually there are people, I don't know if they read the messages at all. So we have to clean up things. But then we need real contributions from the outside, from you, from external ones who have good ideas, who need features, who find bugs, who want to clarify things in the specification, and so on. And also we need real committers, people who are willing to review external contributions, to work with the contributors, to give advice how to write the code, how to invent a good API, which is not very easy. I learned that with my own APIs. I had a good idea. This was in May. The work was done in October. So it's a long way to get a good API. And we want to invite everybody to participate in our project so we can have a real release with real new features, with a really free and open team, which includes Oracle. I don't want to kick out Oracle, to clearly say it. I invite everybody. But we need to learn that external contributions are worth discussion, not like back in JCP times, when they said, oh, it's nice that you did something, but we don't even discuss it. So this is what Oracle learned in this year, that external contributors are worth to talk with. And we learned how to work with those people at Oracle that have understood that. So right now, we are an open source project. We have an open source product. It's an active project, and you all are invited to help to form the future which we have here on the slide. Our next target is waiting for Glassfish, because it's hard to do a release on a major adopter of the project and do progress at the same time. So actually we just wait a few weeks before we go on. And then the big plan is open. So join our team. You're invited. Tell us your ideas in the issue tracker. Tell us bugs. Tell us what features you want. Tell us the changes you want. Tell us the big targets you go for, whether it's JPMS, whether it's microservice, whether it's inclusion of a micro profile, or whatever. Tell us, discuss with us, and don't be shy. You will be heard. You are worth to be discussed with, as is Oracle, as is IBM. And well, yes, that's mostly it. And if you have questions for me or for Kevin, then just go on and ask.
Let me add just a couple of things. Oh, I don't need that.
Yeah.
So I know he's been giving the JAX-RS angle. You know, the idea, I showed 39 projects. Oh, should I move? Okay. Yeah. You know, we have 39 projects out there. So if JAX-RS isn't, you know, your favorite flavor, I mean, we've got a lot of other projects to get involved with, and it could be the APIs, it could be the TCKs, it could be documentation. There's all kinds of ways to get involved. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I think Markus is a very good example of how the community is supposed to work together, because I don't even know the project lead for JAX-RS. What is...
Really?
Yeah, what's his name?
Santiago.
Okay, Santiago. I've never met him. Okay, he is the project lead, but that doesn't mean, you know, it's not like an expert group lead. He doesn't have final say on everything. It's the group, it's the community that's going to decide. Santiago has been a little bit more quiet. I don't know why, but maybe he's busy with other things, you know, whatever. So Markus took the lead. He's a committer. It really doesn't matter. He saw a hole. He wanted to start filling in some of the things. He started the discussion, started doing some commits. Some were a little too early. You know, we had to back him out a little bit. But, you know, it's that type of initiative that actually makes it much more fun. You know, instead of just waiting around for someone else to start doing the work, as committers, you can all start doing the work. So that was a very good point that Markus made earlier. I just wanted to emphasize that. Okay. Anything else to add?
I want to amend that. If you're looking at Jakarta EE as a whole, we have a bad situation in some projects. There are some projects that they don't have a lead. There are committers, but nobody wants to be the lead. But it's hard for the control. If you have, I don't know, 50 or 80 projects, I didn't count it, and you cannot have one person to talk to, but you have 10 or 20 to address. It's really, really hard to get answers soon, to get concise answers, to get authoritative answers. So we even are seeking project leads at the moment. And it's easy to become one. I just said, if nobody else wants, I do it. So now they discuss it currently.
Yep.
Now, fun aside, the Eclipse Foundation really is about people. It's not about companies. it's about people. So don't wait for your employer to become a member. Just stand up and say, I do it. I, as a person, will help as a contributor, as a committer, as a project lead. I will serve in the PMC like Ivor does, for example. He's doing that in his spare time, actually. Yeah, well, and if you have technical questions, you can talk to me or any other contributor. There is no address where you have to wait for a ticket to get answered. You can just talk to real people, and that's a great thing at the Eclipse Foundation. There are also bad things. We have a lot of discussion, like in every democracy.
Module names, for instance.
Yeah, like module names, for example. Or another bad thing, ideas come late. We don't have a general roadmap. We have a shared idea. We want to make progress towards Jakarta E8 and 9. But how? Normal people like me have a different vision than, I don't know, the Payara team, for example, in the whole, or like a company like IBM. They all have different visions how to get there. So everybody has an idea, and some have their ideas early, and some have them late. And it was a very, very, very late idea to change the module names, actually. We had 2 releases of JAX-RS out there in Search Maven org, standing there listed. And then I got a notice from, I think, David Blevins, that he thinks it's a very brilliant idea to change the JPMS module names. Actually, I'm no JPMS expert. I don't know if that breaks backwards compatibility, but I think that would. So what to do now? We have to decide about that. There's an ongoing discussion. So,
but it's in the open. It's very transparent.
Right.
I mean, sometimes there's, back channel discussions. I mean, sometimes you just have to do that, but then you bring that forward and you get it out in front of everybody.
Right.
So,
right. So it's a great thing to be part of that. And if you don't have more questions, I think we'll call it a session.
Yeah, any questions? Yeah. Right. Yes. Okay, so his question was, with the new specification process, it kind of requires individual specification projects, and how many of those do we already have in place with that full list of projects that we have identified so far? Kind of your question? Okay, I mean, let me just kind of speak to it, and then we'll see if we covered it or not. So, most, maybe 75% of the projects were already separated. So the specification projects are the ones that we say, like the project for JAX-RS, the project for JMS, or JMS API. Those are going to be specification projects. So the specification projects will include the specifications, the APIs, and we believe the TCKs are going to go in there as well. There's still a little question mark there, but that's the extent of the specification projects. Any implementations are going to be separate. Now, that's where there's a few projects that the way they came from Oracle, they were all combined. And, well, actually, I think we had to separate Jersey because Jersey had the API mixed in with the implementation, and we had to separate those two. So we had the JAX-RS API project and then Jersey. And I know there's a couple other projects that we still have to do that separation, and we will. We just, we're just trying to make progress with creating the glassfish. So
there's one thing to amend, actually. For us, it was an easy thing when Jersey and JAX-RS was mixed up, because you can do a work in one stream. You just have one commit for the whole idea. But on the other hand, it will still repeat what Oracle did, and we didn't want to do that because Jersey has no special role anymore. Jersey is not the implementation
Yep.
of JAX-RS. It's just one implementation anymore. So even if Jersey would die, I don't hope so. I'm a Jersey committer also. It will not affect JAX-RS. And that's a good thing, because the JAX-RS team wants JAX-RS as an API to survive. So possibly you come up with your homegrown implementation, and you can go to the specification team and let it certify that you did it correctly. And this is a good thing. It was horribly in the past. It was completely an Oracle show. So you had to go to Oracle and ask them how much you have to pay to get a certification. And now it's a clear process. It's documented how it works. Everybody can let his product be certified as compliant to the specification. And that's why it's a good thing that we have this separation of projects. And even if it's more hard to add new features now.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Okay, there are 5 minutes left, so we have plenty of time for questions.
Any other questions? Okay, so we can sign you all up on the JAX-RS team?
Yeah, I have my laptop here, so I can make you committer right now. Yeah, Kevin.
Okay,
that's it.
That's it then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.